guess we're going to be waiting a little while for Callow's birthday because Eden is unconscious. Fun, fun, fun. Hello from the void, it's Rose. Welcome back to my channel and my Apocalypse Poison Garden Legacy. In the last episode we got twins. The twincident. My game is cursed. I get twins literally every time I have a child, it feels like. So I'm going to start buying 2 bassinets, just assuming I'm getting twins so I don't keep getting landed with that really ugly game generated one for the second kid. This is very unreasonable. This episode we are going to be jumping right in before the twins' birthday to Toddler because the baby phase was frankly painful. It was a lot of unconsciousness, a lot of screaming, a lot of like taking 2 seconds to try and feed a child before it got taken away whilst also trying to feed a cow and gather crops and do all of the things that we need to do for this save. It was exhausting, but it's over. Let's go see what happened. As promised, we are rejoining Eden just about as the twins are ready to age up. She's just hit level 5 parenting, and I was going to kind of do a supercut of what's happened in the 24 hours you've missed, but pretty much this is it. She has been unconscious a lot. We haven't been able to get her sleep need much above, barely functional because of the screaming. Anyway, Owen is calling. You want to go out with someone else? Again, that really does need to be a you choice because we have got some birthdays to be having. So as I said, we've literally only skipped 24 hours and all we've done is grind, feed the babies, and we are now aging up. Formerly called Gloriosa, I do have a new name for her and we're going to pop in create a sim. Oh great, she rolled Clingy. Goody goody, lucky me. But we're just going to age them both up, then we'll hop straight into Cass because berry genetics are super busted in Sims 4, so I use a genetics roller and I will link it in the chat which says what they're going to inherit from which parent. And okay, well, I guess we're going to be waiting a little while for Callow's birthday because Eden is unconscious and now the children are crying. She can sleep through it when she's unconscious though, it just doesn't make much of a difference. Anyway, I will be re-rolling the Toddlers' genetics once we get into Create a Sim so that they are a better blend of all their parents, and I do also need the heiress to be the correct colour palette for the next generation, which is green and white for Lily of the Valley. Anyway, please stop crying and get a little bit older so that we don't have to hear this sound ever again, or at least not until the next generation because there will not be any further children. Callow has also aged up. Oh, and he's rolled independent. Okay, that's awesome because that means he can like potty train himself. And while I don't want Eden to be like a bad parent, at the same time, she's got to feed the animals, tend to the crops, make sure there's food on the table. So now that they're big enough to sort of hang out with each other, I think there is definitely going to be an element of just locking them in and leaving it into it. On which note, actually, before I go to Cass, I have realised I'm going to need to buy toddler beds. I don't have any money. It's Wednesday, which means we can sell stuff at Squatter Ruins, so we have had to do a quick supply run before we can even do the fun part of dressing them up in suitably apocalypsy looking things. So we're going to be sacrificing a Tobor My Sims doll, sure. And I don't think we even have done very much foraging around the children because we have not had time. So we might have to sell some of our upgrade parts just to get a little bit of money. And when I say a little bit of money, I do mean like a little bit. We really do not be having much. I think that's all we can sell. So we've got about 700 simoleons to work with, which is really not what I was aiming for. And yeah, we've passed out before we even got back over the road. Fun, fun, fun. Well, I guess we get to appreciate the view and the moon for a little bit. And then please will you travel home? Come on, Eden. So we are going to sell the bassinets, which will actually help a little bit with money, but we are going to be buying some toddler beds. None of them are really particularly like wrecky looking, which is unfortunate. So I guess we'll just get the cheapest ones we can. One, actually at this point, I don't know if we're going to be able to afford 2 because they can obviously switch who goes to sleep when, but we also are going to need like a potty and some skill objects. So we're going to prioritize getting them and see what we're left with. I think that's as good as we can do for now. Not ideal, but is what it is. And then we can jump in Cass. So this is our little heiress, how she aged up originally. She's got a good mix of her parents, and I'm going to keep the birthmark, but with the genetics roller, she's keeping Owen's skin tone, she's keeping Eden's eye colour, but she's going to have white hair for the next generation, and I'm going to give her the same heterochromia that Eden has. And then little Callow, he aged up like this,
and for him he rolled Eden's eye and hair colour and Erwin's skin tone, and again I'm gonna let him keep his birthmark because I just think it's really stinking cute. Anyway, this is how little Kiri, which is going to be her new name, it's a movement in the Requiem Mass, and it literally means that Kyrie eleison is like Lord have mercy, which given we've ended up with twins feels dead appropriate. I'm probably going to be really lazy and pronounce it Kiri versus Kyrie because it also fits better with Callow. If it's Kiri and Callow, that's like a nice little twin set of names, I think. Anyway, let me know in the comments what you think, would love to know. And yeah, I've done my best to try and dress them a little bit homespun, but with the exception of giving them Batu outerwear, there wasn't really a huge amount of options, to be honest. The Sims, as ever, is like quite shiny and clean looking, but I guess maybe Eden has done some trading with the people in Henford to get some clean clothes for her kiddos, who are now essentially going to be left to their own devices. We are going to be having them try and build as many of their skills as they can on their own. I will probably have Eden potty train Kiri because otherwise she's not going to learn it, but yeah, the focus is going to be continuing to grind Eden's goals, and the kids are kind of secondary because although it's mean, it feels appropriate for these rules and this save. And I'm actually just going around locking all the external doors. I moved the door off the side of the building back to where it was originally, which is not at all realistic, but they are now essentially locked in where the only thing they can get near is the chickens and I guess, you know, a fair amount of nuclear fallout and a dead cow plant, but it's a relatively safe zone for a pair of inquisitive toddlers. And I'm giving them a head start on Kiri has to, for her generational goals, befriend an animal as a kid. It's meant to be her only friend, but now she has a twin brother that's going to be a little bit tricky. I do have some ideas on how I want to run the story now that I've got a surprise second child, but I am going to see kind of what comes out of their personalities. The fact that he's independent and she's clingy might work quite well for one idea I've had. Thank you to everyone that wrote in the comments their ideas. I have got them all noted down, and I'm gonna see where the game takes me and then try and work in what feels the most organic and authentic for these little guys who at the moment are just being quite stinking cute. Or stinking poop. As you can see, Eden is taking advantage of the fact no one is screaming and has basically been asleep for the entirety of the episode so far. So yeah, the kids are just going to be looking after themselves, building up some skills. Callow's potty training himself. And I'm hoping there's something in the fridge I can feed them, because otherwise they're going to be pretty hungry until such time as Eden regains consciousness. I was playing a little bit of a 100 baby challenge offline, and I learnt that by making them do what's this, they gain thinking skill, and if you can get to thinking skill level, is it 1 or 2, then they can do block stacking on their own, which is the only way I know for toddlers to single-handedly learn that skill. You will also notice that I have swapped out one of the toddler beds for the werewolf bed. When I filmed the beginning of this episode, it was probably back in June, because I tend to film quite a big chunk of gameplay and then edit it over a few weeks. And so now I have way more choice for objects that look a little bit grungy, because the werewolf pack aesthetic is very much aligned with the kind of vibes of this challenge, so pretty excited about that. I think that bed looks like something Eden could have built herself and like tried to make cute for her kids, and then we've kept the inflatable as the second one because it seems plausible that someone would have like overlooked an air mattress somewhere. Anyway, we are needing to stock the fridge. Eden's always just kind of done quick meals if I haven't had time to cook, but now we have the kiddos. If I have stuff in the fridge, I can fish it out and they can eat it, which frees up Eden to take care of the farm, work on her generational goals, do all that good stuff. And I feel like she's probably trying to explain to the toddlers, who are barely functional at this point, that she needs them to behave themselves, to stay safe, to stay quiet, to stay indoors, to take care of each other, and just generally let her get on with what she needs to do to keep them safe, because having a kid was definitely not on her list of things to do, but now it's happened. She definitely cares. She definitely wants them to be safe, and I feel like her brand of parenting is slightly hysterical. It's very much like, you will stay here, you will do these very, very few things so that I can control everything, and you will make it to a point at which I can teach you how to farm, and then you will survive. Without meaning to, Eden is essentially becoming her own mother, who told her to fear everyone, stay away from everyone, be only with herself, and in doing so be safe. And I guess in a sense, if she hadn't had kids, then she would be safer, but at the same time she's a bit less lonely now. Anyway, we are going to muse on that whilst we immerse ourselves elbow deep in feces, because all of the animals are filthy and threatening to run away, but at least we are rested for the first time in days, which makes doing all the farm chores considerably easier, because she's not face planting or having to feed a child in between each one. And to that end, we've actually got most things done by noon. So I'm going to have Eden, I think, teach them to say please and thank you. I don't think she would be super interested in making sure they knew all the animals of the world, but one day they will have to haggle, so I feel like Eden's focus is going to be survival skills. So for now it's, you know, if they somehow wander off and get lost, how can they keep themselves safe? Eventually it's going to be like physical defense and survival skills, and that's probably when I'm going to get her more into the herbalism side of her aspiration. So yeah, for now we are just having some values teaching time with the kiddies and hanging out with our chickens, who are now happy with us for once. And in a slightly apocalyptic way, this is all quite a charming scene. We've got a beautiful sunny day, we've got our relatively well taken care of at this point children, we are teaching them some manners, and there is a dead cow plant in the background because I still haven't been able to get a new berry, and I kind of feel like a dead cow plant in a sense. It's a warning, so maybe I should put it outside the fence. Questions for next time. I think we will leave things there as we once again leave the children to their own devices and send Eden off to try desperately to get her handiness skill up so that we can build a toilet by the time they make it to childhood. Honestly, the bar of success is so low in this save. I do enjoy it. Anyway, I'd love to hear from you in the comments. Do leave me a thumbs up if you've had a good time watching, and I'll catch you in the next video. Bye for now!